Going into the second half of the NBA season post All-Star break, there are quite a few teams that I'm super excited and interested to tune into down the season stretch. Hello everyone and welcome back to StepBack with Zach, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my top 5 teams that I'm most anticipating going down the stretch of the NBA season. Whether that's for a fun factor or an excitement level or just what are they going to do type thing. Before we get into it, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It is my goal to hit 150 subscribers before April, so your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And also, before we go any further, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. What the hell is on my face? Well, I actually have a pimple right above my lip that I will not be running a razor over, and I needed to shave because my face was getting itchy. So I have a mustache. I do not want a mustache, but hey, this is what we have at the moment. So yeah. Now, just to clarify, this video is not going to be similar to my other videos where I go really in depth and talk about advanced stats and general stats and all that. Again, this is just a vibe. This is a fun factor, whatever. Now, starting off, the team that I am the most excited to tune into, bias aside, is the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs, before heading into All-Star break, go 8-2 in their last 10 and are only 3 games back of the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. And with the uncertainty of J-Dub's health and his inconsistent play on the court alongside SGA still not having a timeline as of me checking yesterday, I think it was, of his return, the Spurs could find themselves in the number 1 seed. Is this likely? Probably not, because I do see OKC picking it up. However, it's still an exciting prospect. The number 1 reason, though, is of course Victor Wembanyama. I'm not going to talk too much about Victor Wembanyama because I always find myself talking about my favorite player, and that's obvious. I don't want to be that guy that just finds a way to just talk forever about my guy, but whatever. The Wemby factor is real. It's always going to be real, and a competitive Victor Wembanyama is the best Victor Wembanyama that there possibly is. And with him really feeling that their title hopes are true and alive, I can really see him absolutely exploding in the second half of the season. And then as for the supporting players, Stephon Castle has just been so damn good this year on both sides of the floor. The only thing that he is in question about is his 3-point shooting, but other than that, he's an incredible downhill presence. He's a good passer. He's limited the turnovers. It's still not great, but it's definitely a lot better than it was to start the season, and he's just looking really damn good. 40 point, 12 rebound, 12 assists, triple-double against the Dallas Mavericks. What? Dylan Harper as well is hopefully going to be rejuvenated after this All-Star break, and with him just getting more and more confident being out there on the court, hopefully he's able to find somewhat of a jump shot going forward, and if he's able to, which I can see happening, that's going to be really fun to watch. Carter Bryant, though, from being a non-rotation player to getting sent to the Austin Spurs, I think that's what their G League team is called, to now being a solidified main piece of the rotation, his emergence has been so good. He's an absolutely incredible defender and an athlete. He's a hustler. He's never afraid to challenge a shot. And because of this, he's been getting progressively more and more minutes, where he has just kept one-upping himself. He had an absolutely incredible game against the LA Lakers before the All-Star break, the same game where Victor Wembanyama dropped 40 points in like 26 minutes, but he had 16 points himself on 6 for 12 shooting. And the game before that against the Dallas Mavericks, he really showcased his defensive abilities and was able to finish that game with 3 blocks. They're also going into this stretch of the season as one of the hottest teams in the NBA, currently sitting with the longest active win streak at 6. And although they do have the 10th hardest strength of schedule remaining, this hasn't stopped the Spurs ever. Well, this season anyway. Victor Wembanyama against tough competition is just so much fun. And then with 6th Man of the Year candidate Keldon Johnson just continuing to be a beast and Luke Cornett doing really solid. And although they did sign bum-ass Mason Plumlee to a 10-day contract, I don't know why they did that, but whatever, their rotation is just looking as great as ever. Devin Vassell's been super great. Hopefully this break has helped Harrison Barnes refine his 3-point shot. That would be incredible. And then of course De'Aaron Fox is just De'Aaron Fox. He's going to do De'Aaron Fox things. And then finally, quite simply, they are my favorite team, so of course they're going to be here. Next, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the Cavs because I have talked about them a lot since the James Harden trade, but with James Harden, and although it's only been 3 games, they remain undefeated. And in this 3-game stretch, they had a game against the Denver Nuggets with Jokic playing. And before you say, oh, but Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson weren't playing, Evan Mobley wasn't playing for the Cavaliers either. The Cavaliers have finally seemed to find their groove. They sit with a record of 9-1 in their last 10. And a big positive for them, they have the 4th easiest strength of schedule remaining. So I can see these wins just continuing to pile up. And like I before mentioned briefly, Evan Mobley still has not played with James Harden. And I am so excited to see what Evan Mobley looks like alongside the premier playmaking and gravity and floor-raising abilities of James Harden. And although I have been super critical on Evan Mobley this year, understandably so, I'm still a true believer in his upside. Donovan Mitchell's continuing to be a dark horse MVP kind of guy, 29.5 points per game and 7 assists on 50.2% field goal shooting in those last 10 games, and has had 35 points, 32 points, and 30 points respectively in all 3 games with James Harden. Jared Allen is currently on one of the best stretches of his entire career, definitely his best offensive stretch, without a doubt. Jalen Tyson can't miss. Sam Merrill can't miss. This Cavaliers supporting cast has also just been super, super incredible. Ultimately though, I don't know how high I can see them climbing up the standings, considering the 3 teams above them, being the Detroit Pistons, the Boston Celtics, and the New York Knicks, have just looked incredible and show no signs of slowing down. I do believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers, though, are going to be a very scary playoff team this season. Next, I have the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is more of a pick where I'm like, what are they going to do? They currently have some major injury concerns to their roster, with emerging most improved player candidate Peyton Watson being ruled out for a long time, and of course one of their main pieces in Aaron Gordon re-aggravating that same hamstring, also expected to miss a lot of time. It's going to be very interesting to see what Coach David Adelman and the Denver Nuggets can do without these pieces. Now, we know that the Denver Nuggets have not been without their adversities throughout the season. They lost Nikola Jokic for a long period of time, and they lost Cam Johnson as well, but were still able to remain a steady team and were able to stay afloat, thanks to the incredible play of Jamal Murray and other emerging incredible players. And it's going to be super critical for them to figure this all out, because they do have the hardest strength of schedule remaining. Now, ultimately though, they do have the best player in the NBA back in Nikola Jokic. And of course, he's going to put up some absolutely insane numbers. And with having no Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson, he's probably going to have to do a little bit more scoring than what he probably wants. And along with him getting healthier going down the season, I can see him absolutely exploding and cementing his MVP case. Though recently, Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, just seems to be going more for the triple-double than he does for scoring, which is fine because, I mean, he's still the most impactful player on the offensive side of the ball in the NBA, probably of all time. But I just think he's just a little bit too focused on trying to get his teammates involved when he is the best player on the planet. Since he has come back, he's had games where he shot the ball 9 times, 11 times, and 12 times. And that, in my opinion, for Jokic is just not enough. Jamal Murray is still playing incredibly well. In his last 10, he's averaging 25 and 10 on 46.5% field goal shooting. And with having Jokic back, this is just going to make his scoring a whole bunch easier. And of course, David Adelman has just been an absolute genius all year, as I mentioned earlier. Is he going to be able to figure out these rotations, especially with Spencer Jones? Oh my god, that was really difficult for me to say. Dealing with a concussion? I mean, he's day-to-day, so he's going to be back any time, but I mean, you got Jokic, I'm sure you'll be fine. Ultimately though, their biggest question, in my opinion, is how is their defense going to hold up? The Denver Nuggets this season have not been a great defense. Throughout the entire season, they've been a bottom 10 defense. Not great. But they've been able to continue winning because of their incredible offense. And when you now have 2 of your best defenders in Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson being out for an extended period of time, and with Christian Brown just proving unreliable this year to stay on the court, what is this going to look like? They are currently 24th in defensive rating, which is just terrible. But I'm a true believer in the Denver Nuggets, and especially Nikola Jokic, so I am very excited to see what they do. Next, I'm going to move on to a team that is not considered a contender, but ultimately they are currently one of the hottest teams in the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets. Like I said, they are one of the hottest teams in the entire NBA, winners of 12 of their last 15 games, where in the stretch they have a 9-game winning streak, and that was ultimately ended by the Detroit Pistons, who are the number 1 seed out east and are a true contending team. team. And this game was super close and it was so entertaining. I'm so glad I tuned into that one. Oh my god, if you watched that game, that fight was insane. But they won their game after that against the Atlanta Hawks, after almost blowing a pretty big lead. Con Knipple has been my favorite player on the Charlotte Hornets this year, and probably a lot of yours as well. He is the best shooting rookie, debatably, that we have ever seen, and his progression is just continuing to climb and grow, and he is just cementing himself as an incredible player for many, many years to come, and will probably be the face of NBA three-point shooting post Stephen Curry. Brandon Miller has been on a roll as well. He's averaging 23 points per game on 46% field goal shooting and 39% from three in this 15-game stretch, as well as an incredible 98.4% from the free throw line. And he is currently on a streak of 53 consecutive made free throws, which ties the franchise record and Kemba Walker. So he just needs to make his next free throw, and then the Charlotte Hornets have an all-time new leader in consecutive free throws made. Brandon Miller has just been a lot of fun to watch. LaMelo Ball, although not playing his best individual hoops that he's ever had, he is still super important for this squad, as they are just better with their general out there. And then of course you've got Moussa Diabate, who's just been incredible, and Miles Bridges too, who are both suspended for a little bit, but when those five are on the court, I think when those five start, I'm pretty sure they have only lost 2 games, and they are like 16-2 or 15-2 or something crazy like that. And the addition of Kobe White to this team is also really, really exciting, an upgrade of the type of player that Colin Sexton was. They're going to fill the exact same role, but Kobe White is taller, he's a better defender, and he's just going to be able to do what Colin Sexton did plus more. Now, because of this crazy streak that they are on, or crazy run that they are on rather, they have continued to climb the standings. They are now firmly in the play-in race, where they are the 9th seed and have lapped the Atlanta Hawks. And ultimately, I can see them climbing up as well, because the number 7 seeded Orlando Magic are now without their best player for an extended period of time. We're not exactly sure how long it is yet. And with Paolo, they've just been not great, because Paolo's just bad, which sucks, but I can see the Magic dropping as they continue to lose. And then the Miami Heat, who are the 8th seed, I can also just see them dropping because they've been really, really weird, but I can also see them winning. So I don't know, the Miami Heat are just a weird team to judge. But I'm hoping and I'm praying that we can get the Charlotte Hornets as the 8th seed, or ultimately just the seed that is able to play the Detroit Pistons going into the playoffs, because a Pistons-Hornets playoff series would be cinema, especially because of what happened in their previous matchup. And finally, speaking of the Pistons, I have the Detroit Pistons here. They have been such a welcomed story this season, in a conference that many thought would be absolutely dominated by the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. The Pistons currently sit as the only 40-win team out east, and only one of 2 40-win teams in the entire NBA, and are firmly 5.5 games in front of the number 2 seeded Boston Celtics, absolutely just separating themselves from the rest. Led by their borderline MVP candidate, Cade Cunningham, who's just been so good, such a great leader for this team, and although he's not the most efficient scorer, he does so much out there. He's an incredible playmaker. He is able to get his own shot. He's 6'8". He's gigantic at the guard position. And although not quite on the level as a Nikola Jokic or an SGA or a Luka or a Wemby, he is probably 5th in my MVP poll. And Jalen Duren as well, their starting center, in my opinion, has been the best center out east. Joel Embiid has not played enough games to qualify, just to clear up. And I don't even think that this has been particularly close. Jalen Duren is a first-time All-Star this season, and I just don't see any signs of him slowing down. Obviously, he's not as good as he was to start the season, but he's still been, without question, the best center out east. And their defense this year has just been so good, and since the turn of the calendar year, they have been convincingly the best defense in the NBA, being 3 points better defensively than the number 2 spot, the San Antonio Spurs, who have the best defender in the entire NBA. But with their ample amount of defensive presence of players and Ron Holland and Asar Thompson and Beef Stew, and Cade Cunningham's not a slouch on that side of the ball. Duncan Robinson can also hold his own. Jalen Duren, who's been super impressive himself. This Pistons team is just so much fun to watch. And Coach JB Bickerstaff has done such an incredible job with his rotations, and I ultimately think that the Pistons are going to be the team to come out of the Eastern Conference this season. But that is all from me for this video, a bit of a shorter one than usual, but hey, there hasn't been a lot of NBA since All-Star Weekend. We have our first slate of games today, and there's a whole bunch of them, so I will be tuning into a few of them. But let me know what you guys think about my selections here, or if there's any teams that you guys are the most excited to watch that is not your favorite team down this stretch of this season as we head towards the playoffs. But like I said in the intro, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.